continue reading Krishna book by Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, chapter 88, The Deliverance of Lord Shiva. As a great devotee of Krishna, King Parikshit was already liberated, but for clarification he was asking various questions of Sukadeva Goswami. In the previous chapter, King Parikshit's question was, what is the ultimate goal of the Vedas? And Sukadeva Goswami explained the matter, giving authoritative descriptions from the disciplic succession from Sanandana down to Narayana Rishi, Narad, Vyas, and then Sukadeva himself. The conclusion was that devotional service of bhakti is the ultimate goal of the Vedas. A neophyte devotee may question if the ultimate goal of life or the conclusion of the Vedas is to elevate oneself to the platform of devotional service. Then why is it observed that a devotee of Lord Vishnu is generally not very prosperous materially, whereas a devotee of Lord Shiva is found to be very opulent? In order to clarify this matter, Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami, my dear Sukadeva Goswami, it is generally found that those who engage in the worship of Lord Shiva, whether in human, demoniac or demigod society, become materially very opulent, although Lord Shiva himself lives just like a poverty-stricken person. On the other hand, the devotees of Lord Vishnu, who is the controller of the goddess of fortune, do not appear very prosperous. And sometimes they are even found living without any material opulence at all. Lord Shiva lives underneath a tree or in the snow of the Himalayan mountains. He does not even construct a house for himself, but still the worshippers of Lord Shiva are very rich. Krishna or Lord Vishnu, however, lives very opulently, whether in Vaikuntha or in the material world, but his devotees appear poverty-stricken. Why is this so? Maharaj Parikshit's question is very intelligent. The two classes of devotees, namely the devotees of Lord Shiva and the devotees of Lord Vishnu, are always in disagreement. Even today in India, these two classes of devotees still criticize each other, and especially in South India, the followers of Ramanujacharya and the followers of Sankaracharya hold occasional meetings for understanding the Vedic conclusion. Generally, the followers of Ramanujacharya come out victorious in such meetings. So Parikshit Maharaj wanted to clarify the situation by asking this question of Sukadeva Goswami, that Lord Shiva lives as a poor man, although his devotees appear very opulent, whereas Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu is always opulent, and yet his devotees appear poverty-stricken in a situation which appears contradictory and puzzling to a discriminating person. Replying to King Parikshit's inquiry, Sukadeva Goswami said that Lord Shiva is the master of material energy. The material energy is represented by Goddess of Durga, and because Lord Shiva happens to be her husband, Goddess Durga is completely under the subjugation. Thus, Lord Shiva is understood to be the master of the material energy. The material energy is manifested in three qualities, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance. And therefore, Lord Shiva is the master of these three qualities, although he is in association with the qualities for the benefit of the conditioned soul. Lord Shiva is their director and is not affected. In other words, although the conditioned soul is affected by the three qualities, Lord Shiva, being their master, is not. From the statements of Sukadeva Goswami, we can understand that the effects of worshipping different demigods are not, as some less intelligent persons suppose, the same as the effects of worshipping Lord Vishnu. Sukadeva Goswami clearly states that by the worshipping of Lord Shiva one achieves one's reward, whereas worshipping Lord Vishnu one achieves a different reward. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Those who worship the different demigods achieve the desired results the respective demigods can reward similarly. Those who worship the material energy receive the suitable reward for such activities, and those who worship the Pitras receive similar results. But those who engage in devotional service or worship of the Supreme Lord Vishnu or Krishna go to the Vaikuntha planets or Krishna Loka. One cannot approach the transcendental region or Paravayoma, the spiritual sky, by worshipping Lord Shiva or Brahma or any other demigods. Since this material world is a product of the three qualities of material nature, all varieties of manifestations come from those three qualities, which the aid of materialistic scientists. Science, modern civilization, has created many machines and comforts, yet they are only varieties of the interactions of the three material qualities. Although the devotees of Lord Shiva are able to obtain many material acquisitions, we should know that such devotees are simply collecting products manufactured by the three qualities. The three qualities are again subdivided into 16, namely the 10 senses, 5 waking senses, and 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, the mind, and the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and sky. These 16 items are extensions of the three qualities. Material happiness or opulence means gratification of the senses. Especially the genitals, the tongue, and the mind. By exercising our minds, we create many pleasurable things just for enjoyment by the genitals and the tongue. The opulence of a person within this material world is estimated in terms of his exercise of the genitals and the tongue, or in other words, how well he is able to utilize his sexual capacities and how well he is able to satisfy his fastidious tastes by eating palatable dishes. Material advancement of civilization necessitates creating objects of enjoyment by mental concoction just to become happy on the basis of these two principles. Pleasures for the genitals and pleasures for the tongue. Herein lies the answer to King Parikshit's questions to Sukadeva Goswami as to why the worshippers of Lord Shiva are so opulent. The devotees of Lord Shiva are opulent only in terms of the material qualities. Factually, such so-called advancement of civilization is the cause of entanglement in material existence. It is actually not advancement but degradation. The conclusion is that because Lord Shiva is the master of the three qualities, his devotees are given things manufactured by the interactions of these three qualities for the satisfaction of their senses. In the Bhagavad Gita, however, we get instructions from Lord Krishna that one has to transcend this qualitative existence. Nistrai Gunya Bhava Arjuna. The mission of human life is to become transcendental to the three qualities. Unless one is Nistrai Gunya, he cannot get free from material entanglement. In other words, favors received from Lord Shiva are not actually beneficial to the conditioned souls, although materially such facilities seem opulent. Sukadeva Goswami continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, is transcendental to three qualities of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord states that anyone who surrenders unto him surpasses the control of the three qualities in material nature. Therefore, since Hari's devotees are transcendental to the control of the three material qualities, certainly he himself is transcendental in Srimad Bhagavatam. It is therefore stated that Hari or Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are two kinds of prakritis or potencies, namely the internal potency and the external potency, and Krishna is the overlord of both. He is Sarvadrik, or the overseer of all the actions of the internal and external potencies, and he is also described as Upadrishtha, the Supreme Advisor. Because he is the Supreme Advisor, he is above all the demigods who merely follow the directions of the Supreme Advisor. As such, if one directly follows the instructions of the Supreme Lord as inculcated in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then one gradually becomes nirguna, or above the interactions of the material qualities. To be nirguna means to be bereft of material opulences, because as we have explained, material opulence means an increase of the actions and reactions of the three modes of material qualities, but By worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead instead of being puffed up with material opulences, one becomes enriched with the spiritual advancement of knowledge in Krishna consciousness. To become nirguna means to achieve eternal peace, fearlessness, religiousness, knowledge, and renunciation. All these are symptoms of becoming free from the contamination of the material calories. Sukadeva Goswami, in answering Parikshit Maharaj's questions, went on to cite historical instances regarding Parikshit Maharaj's grandfather. King Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said that after finishing the Aswamedha sacrifice in the great sacrificial arena, King Yudhishthira, in the presence of great authorities, inquired from Lord Krishna on that very same point how it is that the devotees of Lord Shiva become materially opulent, whereas the devotees of Lord Vishnu do not. Sukadeva Goswami specifically referred to King Yudhishthira as your grandfather, so that Maharaj Parikshit would be encouraged to think that he was related to Krishna and that his grandfathers were intimately connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Although by nature Krishna is always very satisfied, when Maharaj Yudhishthira asked this question, the Lord became even more satisfied, because this question and its answer would bear a great meaning for the entire Krishna conscious society. Whenever Lord Krishna speaks about something to do or a specific devotee, it is meant not only for the devotee but for all devotees, and indeed for the entire human society. Instructions by the Supreme Personality of Godhead are important even to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the other demigods. And if one does not take advantage of the instructions of this Supreme Personality of Godhead, who descends within this world for the benefit of all living entities, he is certainly very unfortunate. Lord Krishna answered the question of Parikshit Maharaj Yudhishthira as follows: If I especially favor a devotee and especially wish to care for him, the first thing I do is take away his riches. When the devotee becomes a penniless pauper, or is put into a comparatively poverty-stricken position, his relatives and family members no longer take interest in him, and in most cases they give up their connection with him. The devotee then becomes doubly unhappy. First of all, the devotee becomes unhappy because his riches have been taken away by Krishna, and he is made even more unhappy when his relatives desert him. Because of his poverty, we should note, however, that when a devotee falls into a miserable condition in this way, it is not due to past impious activities, known as karma phala. The poverty of the devotee is a creation of the personality of Godhead. Similarly, when a devotee becomes materially opulent, that is also not due to his pious activities. In either case, whether the devotee becomes poorer or richer, the arrangement is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This arrangement is especially made by Krishna for his devotee, just to make him completely dependent upon him and to free him from all material obligations. He can then concentrate his energy, mind and body, everything for the service of the Lord, and that is pure devotional service. In the Narada Pancharatra, it is therefore explained Sarvopadhi Vinurmuktam, which means being freed from all designations. Works performed for family, society, community, nation or humanity are all designated. I belong to this society, I belong to this community, I belong to this nation, I belong to this species of life. Such identities are all merely designations. When by the grace of the Lord a devotee is freed from all designations in devotional service, is actually Naiskarmaya. Jnanis are very much attracted by the position of Naiskarmaya, in which one's actions no longer have any material effect. The devotee's activities are freed from material effects, and so these activities are no longer in the category of karma phalam or fruitive activities, as explained before by the personified Vedas. The happiness and distress of a devotee are produced by the personality of Godhead, and the devotee therefore does not care whether he is in happiness or in distress. He goes on with his duties in executing devotional service. Although his behavior seems to be subject to the actions and reactions of fruitive activities, he is actually freed from the results of action. It may be questioned why a devotee is put into such tribulation by the personality of Godhead. The answer is that this kind of arrangement by the Lord is just like a father sometimes becoming unkind to his sons, because a devotee is a surrendered soul and is taken charge of by the Supreme Lord. Whatever condition of life the Lord puts him in, whether one is distressed or in happiness, it is to be understood that behind this arrangement is a large plan designed by the personality of Godhead. For example, Lord Krishna put the Pandavas into distress conditions so acute that even grandfather Bhishma could not comprehend how such distress could occur. He lamented that although the whole Pandava family was headed by King Yudhishthir, the most pious king, and protected by the two great warriors Bhima and Arjuna, and although above all the Pandavas were all intimate friends and relatives of Lord Krishna, they still had to undergo such tribulations later. However, it was proved that this was planned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as part of his great mission to annihilate the miscreants to protect the devotees. Another question may be raised: what is the difference between a devotee and a common man? Since both are put into different kinds of happy and distressful conditions, the devotee by the arrangement of the personality of Godhead and the common man as a result of his past deeds, how is the devotee any better than the ordinary karmi? The answer is that the karmis and the devotees are not on the same level. In whatever condition of life the karmi may be, he continues in the cycle of birth and death because the seed of karma, of fruitive activity, is there, and it fructifies whenever there is an opportunity. By the law of karma, a common man is perpetually entangled in repeated birth and death. Whereas a devotee's distress and happiness, not being under the laws of karma, are part of his temporary arrangement by the Supreme Lord, which does not entangle the devotee. Such an arrangement is made by the Lord only to serve a temporary purpose. If a karmi performs auspicious acts, he is elevated to the heavenly planets, and if he acts impiously, he is put into a hellish condition. But whether a devotee acts in a so-called pious or impious manner, he is neither elevated nor degraded, but is transferred to the spiritual kingdom. Therefore, a devotee's happiness and distress and a karmi's happiness and distress are not on the same level. This fact is corroborated by a speech by Yamaraj to his servants in connection with the liberation of Ajamila. Yamaraj advised his followers that they should approach only those persons who have never uttered the holy name of the Lord or remembered the form, qualities and pastimes of the Lord. Yamaraj also advised his servants never to approach the devotees. On the contrary, he instructed his messengers that if they meet a devotee, they should offer their respectful obeisances. So there is no question of a devotee being promoted or degraded within this material world. As there is a gulf of difference between the punishment awarded by the mother and the punishment awarded by an enemy, so a devotee's distress is not the same as the distress of a common karmi. Here another question may be raised: if the Supreme Lord is all-powerful, why should he try to reform his devotee by putting him in distress? The answer is that when the Supreme Personality of Godhead puts his devotee in distress, it is not without purpose. Sometimes the purpose is that in distress, a devotee's feelings of attachment to Krishna are magnified. For example, when Krishna, before leaving the capital of the Pandavas for his home, asked Kunti Devi for permission to leave, she said, "My dear Krishna, in our distress you were always present with us. Now because we have been elevated to a royal position, you are leaving us. I would therefore prefer to live in distress than to lose you." When a devotee is put into a situation of distress, his devotional service are accelerated. Therefore, to show special favor to a devotee, the Lord sometimes puts him into distress. Besides that, it is stated that the sweetness of happiness is sweeter to those who have tasted bitterness. The Supreme Lord descends to the material world just to protect his devotees from distress. In other words, if devotees were not in a such distress condition, the Lord would not have come down. As for his killing the demons or miscreants, this can be easily done by his various energies, just as many asuras are killed by his external energy, goddess Durga. Therefore, the Lord does not need to come down personally to kill such demons, but when his devotee is in distress, he must come. Lord Nrsimhadev appeared not in order to kill Hiranyakashipu, but to save Prahlad and to give him blessings. In other words, because Prahlad Maharaj was put into very great distress, the Lord appeared. When after the dense dark night there is finally sunrise in the morning, it is very pleasant. When there is scorching heat, cold water is very pleasant. And when there is freezing winter, hot water is very pleasant. Similarly, when a devotee, after experiencing the distress of the material world, realizes the spiritual happiness awarded by the Lord, his position is still more pleasant and enjoyable. The Lord continued, when my devotee is bereft of all material riches and is deserted by his relatives, friends and family members because he has no one to look after him, he completely takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung in this connection, my dear Lord Krishna, O son of Nanda Maharaj, you are now standing before me with Srimati Radharani, the daughter of King Vrishabhanu. I am now surrendering unto you. Please accept me. Please do not kick me away. I have no shelter other than you. When a devotee is thus put into so-called miserable conditions and bereft of riches and family, he tries to revive his original position of material opulence. But although he tries again and again, Krishna again and again takes away all his resources. Thus he finally becomes disappointed in material activities, and in that stage of frustration in all endeavors, he can fully surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such persons are advised by the Lord from within to associate with devotees. By associating with devotees, they naturally become inclined to render service to the Personality of Godhead, and they immediately get the facilities from the Lord to advance in Krishna consciousness. The non-devotees, however, are very careful about preserving the material condition of life. Generally, therefore, such non-devotees do not come to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but worship Lord Shiva or other demigods from immediate material profit. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, therefore, Kang Santa Karmanam Siddhim Yajante Iha Devata. The karmis, in order to achieve success within this material world, worship the various demigods. It is also stated by Lord Krishna that those who worship the demigods are not mature in their intelligence. The devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, therefore, because of their strong attachment for Him, do not foolishly go to the demigods. Lord Krishna said to Yudhishthira Maharaj, my devotee is not deterred by any adverse conditions of life. He always remains firm and steady. Therefore, I give myself to him and I favor him so that he can achieve the highest success of life. The mercy bestowed upon the tried devotee by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as Brahma, which indicates that the greatness of that mercy can be compared only to all-pervasive greatness of Brahman. Brahma means unlimitedly great and unlimitedly expanding. That mercy is also described in Paramam, for it has no comparison within this material world, and it is also called Suksman, very fine, not only in the Lord's mercy upon the triad devotee, great and ultimately expansive, but it is the finest quality of transcendental love between a devotee, the devotee and the Lord. Such mercy is further described as Chinmatram, completely spiritual. The use of the word matram indicates absolute spirituality with no tinge of material qualities. That mercy is also called Sat, eternal, and Anantakam, unlimited. Since the devotee of the Lord is awarded such unlimited spiritual benefit, why should he worship the demigods? A devotee of Krishna does not worship Lord Shiva or Brahma or any other subordinate demigods. He completely devotes himself to the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sukadeva Goswami continued, the demigods headed by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are including Lord Indra, Chandra, Varuna and others are apt to be very quickly satisfied or very quickly angered by the good or ill behavior of their devotees. But this is not so with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. This means that every living entity within the material world, including the demigods, is conducted by the three material modes of nature, and therefore the qualities of ignorance and passion are very prominent within the material world. Those devotees who take blessings from the demigods are also infected with the material qualities, especially passion and ignorance. Lord Shri Krishna has therefore stated in the Bhagavad Gita that to take blessings from the demigods is less intelligent, because when one takes benedictions from the demigods, the results of such benedictions are temporary. It is easy to get material opulence by worshipping the demigods, but the result is sometimes disastrous. As such, the benedictions derived from demigods are appreciated only by the less intelligent class of men. Persons who derive benedictions from the demigods gradually become puffed up with material opulence and neglectful of their benefactors. Sukadeva Goswami addressed King Parikshit thus, my dear king, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, the principal trio of the material creation, are able to bless or curse anyone. Of this trio, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are very easily satisfied but also very easily angered. When satisfied, they give benedictions without consideration, and when angry, they curse the devotee without consideration. But Lord Vishnu is not like that. Lord Vishnu is very considerate. Whenever a devotee wants something from Lord Vishnu first considers whether such a benediction will ultimately be good for the devotee. Lord Vishnu never bestows any benediction which will ultimately prove disastrous to the devotee by his transcendental nature. He is always merciful, therefore, before giving any benediction, he considers whether it will prove beneficial for the devotee. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always merciful, even when it appears that he has killed a demon, or even when he apparently becomes angry toward the devotee, his actions are always auspicious. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore known as all good. Whatever he does is good. As for the benediction given by demigods like Lord Shiva, there is the following historical incident cited by great sages. Once Lord Shiva, after giving a benediction to a demon named Vicaru, the son of Sakuni, was himself entrapped in a very dangerous position. Vicaru was searching after a benediction and trying to decide which of the three presiding deities to worship in order to get it. In the meantime, he happened to meet the great sage Narad Muni and consulted with him as to whom he should approach to achieve quick results for his austerity. He inquired of the three deities, namely Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, who is most quickly satisfied. Narad Muni could understand the plan of the demon, and he advised him, you had better worship Lord Shiva, then you will quickly get the desired result. Lord Shiva is very quickly dissatisfied and very quickly satisfied and very quickly dissatisfied also. So you try to satisfy Lord Shiva. Narad also cited instances where demons like Ravan and Banasura were encircled with great opulences simply by satisfying Lord Shiva with prayers, because the great sage Narad Muni was aware of the nature of the demon Vicaru. He did not advise him to approach Vishnu or Lord Brahma. Persons such as Vicaru, who are situated in the material modes with ignorance, cannot still do the worship of Lord Vishnu. After receiving instructions from Narad, the demon Vicaru went to Kedarnath. The pilgrimage site in Kedarnath still exists near Kashmir. It is almost always covered by snow, but for part of the year during the month of July, it is July to see the deity, and devotees go there to offer their respects. Kedarnath is for the devotees of Lord Shiva according to the Vedic principle. When something is offered to the deities to eat, it is offered in a fire. Therefore, a fire sacrifice is necessary in all sorts of ceremonies. It is specifically stated in the Shastra that gods are to be offered something to eat through the fire. The demon Vicaru therefore went to Kedarnath and ignited a sacrificial fire to please Lord Shiva. After igniting the fire in the name of Lord Shiva to please him, Vicaru began to offer his own flesh by cutting it from his body. Here is an instance of worship in the mode of ignorance. In the Bhagavad Gita, different types of sacrifice are mentioned. Some sacrifices are in the mode of goodness, some are in the mode of passion, and some are in the mode of ignorance. There are different kinds of tapasya and worship because there are different kinds of people within this world. But the ultimate tapasya, Krishna consciousness, is the topmost and the topmost sacrifice, as stated, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The topmost yoga is to think always of Lord Krishna within the heart, and the topmost sacrifice is to perform the Sankirtan Yajna. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that the worshippers of the demigods have lost their intelligence, as rewarded later in this chapter. As revealed later in this chapter, Vicaru wanted to satisfy Lord Shiva for a third-class materialistic objective, which was temporary and without real benefit. The asuras or persons within the mode of ignorance will accept such benedictions from the demigods. In complete contrast to the sanctions in the mode of ignorance, the Archana Vidhi process for worshipping Lord Vishnu or Krishna is very simple. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that he accepts from his devotee even a little fruit, a flower and some water, which can be gathered by any persons, rich or poor. Of course, those who are rich are not expected to offer only a little water, a little piece of fruit or a little leaf to the Lord. A rich man should offer according to his position, but if the devotee happens to be a very poor man, the Lord will accept even the most meager offering. The worship of the Lord Vishnu or Krishna is very simple and it can be executed by anyone in this world, but worship in the mode of ignorance, as exhibited by Vicaru, is not only very difficult and painful, but is also a useless waste of time. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says that the worshippers of the demigods are bereft of intelligence. Their process for worship is very difficult, and at the same time the result obtained is flickering and temporary. Although Vicaru continued his sacrifice for 6 days, he was unable to personally see Lord Shiva, which was his objective. He wanted to see him face to face and ask him a benediction. Here is another contrast between demons and devotees. A devotee is confident that whatever he offers to the deity in full devotional service is accepted by the Lord, but a demon wants to see his worshipable deity face to face so that he can directly take the benediction. A devotee does not worship Vishnu or Lord Krishna for any benedictions. Therefore, devotee is called akama, free from desire, and a non-devotee is called Sarvakama, or desirous of everything. On the seventh day, the demon Vicaru decided that he should cut off his head and offer it to satisfy Lord Shiva. Thus he took a bath in a nearby lake and without drying his body and hair, he prepared to cut off his head. According to the Vedic system, an animal to be offered as a sacrifice has to be bathed first, and while the animal is wet, it is sacrificed. When the demon was just preparing to cut off his head, Lord Shiva became very compassionate. This compassion is a symptom of the quality of goodness. Lord Shiva is called Tri-linga, or mixture of the three material qualities. Therefore, his manifestations of the nature of compassion is a sign of the quality of goodness. This compassion, however, is present in every living entity. The comparison of Lord Shiva was aroused not because the demon was offering his flesh into the sacrificial fire, but because he was about to commit suicide. This is natural compassion. Even if a common man sees someone preparing to commit suicide, he should try to save him. He does not automatically, there is no need to appeal to him. Therefore, when Lord Shiva appeared from the fire to check the demon from suicide, it was not done as a very great favor to him.